Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Pumelele.
Good morning.
Look at Pubi Mashiko, resplendent in summer glory. Look at you.
And do you see me not in black?
I do see
trying. I'm
saw
trying.
This. So I saw this on your social media, actually.
I am actually trying, but also with my paper cup and not a Stanley Cup.
Oh my God. Okay. Someone had to bring it up. So I didn't even know about this stuff. I wish.
And we're not talking about hockey.
No. The Stanley Cup is not the championship.
Stanley Cup,
but it's these things.
A Stanley Cup.
So it's these things that kids, they've lost their minds over this stuff.
I don't think it's kids. I think it's adults, judging by the cost of that thing.
Apparently kids were getting them for Christmas. And okay, so what is it? Do you want to tell us what this is? Because you probably know way more than me. In fact, I guarantee you do.
It's like it's this new craze that you're seeing everybody all over social media, long queues. It's almost like Prime all over again.
Right.
But it's those flasks, you know, those cups.
The one with the straw or the normal?
Yeah, with the
Jesus.
With the straw, and it's a flask-like thing. You probably have a version of it.
It's called a quencher, isn't it? Stanley Cup quencher.
It's like it's
God.
The latest thing.
Let me take a picture of this thing.
It's the latest thing. Everybody
So this is the.
And I don't have one.
And apparently it all started off because some mom put it on her blog, and then all the other moms wanted it. Now all the kids want it as their water or juice bottle at school. Yeah. So when people say that influencer marketing is dead, with famous people, it's kind of dying. But everybody else, I mean, if nobody discovers one of these damn things, and there it is, and they put this on, that is such an ugly looking thing. I wouldn't want one of those.
Well,
you have one?
I do not have one.
I'll never know with you.
I do not have one.
Sometimes you're so on trend.
If I had one, I'd have it here. I would have decanted this coffee into the Stanley Cup. But no,
so
I do not have one.
People are obsessed with these things.
People are obsessed with this thing.
I'm looking at what it costs. So on Take-A-Lot, this thing will cost you 599 Rand. A cup.
No, that's not the right one. That's the.
Is it more than that?
Yes, sir. It's about 1,000 Rand more.
I see one for 1,500 Rand.
That's that one? The one. That is the one.
Aye.
So
Stanley 1.9 liter classic vacuum flask. Is it that?
That is the one.
Oh my God. All right. So that thing that I've put up is nonsense.
Yes, that is not the one.
I thought that was it. Okay. Well, either way, this is stupid. Can I just say that?
All I'm saying is, and I've been thinking about it because we're in a year that requires lots of clever. That's the one.
Oh my God.
Clever marketing.
Yeah. You did say this was going to be the time, yeah?
Right. But also, you remember the craze with the field bar leading up to this.
Field bar's a thing. Yeah, I saw people posting that. But you call these things, you almost see them before anyone else does, which is why I listen to you when you talk about it. But it's not like I'm going to get into it. I mean, Ryan, our producer, he loves this stuff and he falls for it hook, line, and sinker. I'm surprised he's becoming in. No, Ryan loves this stuff. In fact, I think he's the only guy in South Africa still buying Prime energy drinks.
This is why I was going to call him in December because,
oh my God.
Because of the YouTuber. So I arrive here this morning and I say to Ryan, who's this YouTuber that was here? I really haven't seen everyone for 2 weeks. Was sleeping in late, waking up at 7 every morning. And I almost called Ryan because my child was obsessed about this YouTuber.
What's this YouTuber's name?
Sharky.
Okay. Don't know who that is.
And did Ryan not know immediately who I'm talking about?
Phumi and Ryan were having a conversation that I honestly thought I was having a stroke because I didn't know what they were talking about. And Lindy says in the comments here, which proves to me that maybe I am having a stroke. She says, this is the Stanley Cup that survived that car wreck.
Yeah.
And the CEO bought the person a car. You guys spoke about it a few weeks ago. I remember the story. Yeah. We spoke about the story and I said, what a cool marketing opportunity. I had no idea that we were talking about this thing. This ugly ass thing. So this thing survived the car fire. And then the CEO found out this woman had survived, or her and her cup had survived. Well, thank God she and the cup, otherwise.
Well, what would be the point of buying her a new car?
And then he bought her a new car. I do remember that story. Lindy, you are so much. Can you come and run this show for me? And you can keep us on, on the pulse, paying attention to every trend. I don't know that. I feel like sometimes when we talk about things like this, and it really does, thank God it goes in one ear and out the other, because you don't have enough brain space for everything. Right, Pums?
Oh,
you just don't. You can't remember everything. You can't talk about all the stuff that matters. You can't be involved in everything, because you will eventually just lose it.
You're definitely gonna burn out.
Yeah.
This is my one worry about this year.
It's like there's that Dunbar's number of the total number of meaningful connections you can have in your life at any given time. I think it's 120.
It's heck.
And if and there's no human being who can go over that number. They've researched this with thousands and thousands of people. They brought them all in. They've tested them. They've asked them for recall. They go through their phones. There's no way you can get over 120, no matter how smart you are, how fastidious or conscientious. And the same goes for information. My brain doesn't hold information about Stanley Cups. I know it's a trend for this week and maybe this month. And I know in 2 months, I will not remember anything about Stanley Cups. It's like my brain, and it does this on its own.
Listen, there is on Tuesday this week, the 9th. I kept saying to everybody at the office, guys, it is the 9th of January. And already this year has been a lot.
Yeah.
So we're not going to just get over it.
Did you see those floods in Ladysmith?
Dude.
Okay, let's just play this quickly, because Ryan, he couldn't wait for you to.
He sent me this thing.
I know. He couldn't wait for you to translate this. All right, so take a look at this quickly.
I said, "Vulili robot, bafowethu vulili robot. Slice slam nambiti. Khanjwa ngekepe. Umthetho omgwaqo kodwa sawulalela bafowethu. Nakho ngalana livalile leli ngapha. Naleli ngapha livalile. Nangu Shoprite, nangu Spala. Kuhanjwa nje kamna khanjwa ngekepe kuphela kodwa
So first of all, let me explain what's going on. Phumi can give you a translation here, but the guy's in a canoe. He's in a canoe. The water is up to the top of the doors at the spa. The shop across the road, you can only see the top of the doors. It's flooding so badly in Ladysmith. And he's saying, I'm waiting for the robots to change so I can cross the street in my canoe.
We're still following the rules of the road.
God,
Isn't it amazing that robot is still working?
It was flickering a bit.
Here in Joburg, a little bit of rain.
Yeah, and it switches off.
This morning, there's a little bit of rain. All the lights on my way here.
But poor KZN. I mean, for God's sake, we're not even 10 days into the year, and this is what they have to deal with in Ladysmith.
But this is an ongoing problem in Ladysmith. 2 years ago, they had the same thing. In fact, when I saw this video in Cabanac and Ryan,
Yeah,
they're the ones that keep me in the. When he sent me this video, I thought it was an old video. I wanted to say to him, I think this is like, but no, it's actually
first week of the year, and Ladysmith's dealing with this. Oh, by the way, here's some Stanley Cup information that Ryan's found for us. The Stanley brand made $750 million in 2023 because of that bottle. That's the one.
This is the.
And the thing that they did, this is so small, but it made such a difference, is they started making them in pastel colors. Because apparently it used to be used
the
by...
The pink one is the one that's
the one everyone wants.
Yeah.
So they used to be used by like construction workers and people who wanted to keep their coffee warm for longer, in the winter or whatever. And it wasn't really a thing. And then they brought them out in pastel colors. And then all the moms went gaga for this thing. Now all the kids. Clever move.
See?
And then look at this.
The mummy market.
Look at the sales. 2019, nobody cared, but they still made decent money, right?
That is not nobody cared.
No, listen. They're at what, 50, 70 million dollars. 2020, they kind of double that. 2021, they like triple that. 22, it goes up again by double. And then 2023 is like they doubled it again. It's just, this is very good. This is a marketing exercise that everybody should look at.
This is a case study.
Beautiful. Well done to them.
I
wish I could invent one dumb thing and it would just sell like hotcakes. Yeah, I mean, I always used to. I watched that movie with Hugh Grant where he does the jingle and he lives off the royalties for the rest of his life about a boy. Oh God, I loved that movie. I kept thinking, if I could just write some little, like I remember someone told me that the guy who wrote that dee-doo-doo noise that when you switch off your computer, that guy is like a multi-millionaire and he's just living it up. I'm like, oh Jesus, in a couple of years I'm going to be 50 and I haven't made my invention yet. What a dumbass.
It's okay.
And
it's okay. Ray
by the way,
Kroc was 56 when he started.
Tell me more of those stories. I need to hear those stories. Just by the way, God or the universe or any powerful heavenly creature that's listening to me right now, I'm going to be a really nice rich person. I'm going to do good things. You know, I mean, I think I do some good things as a moderately poor person. So give me some money and watch all the good shit happen. That's what I'm saying to the universe this year. I'm like, give me some money and watch me do awesome stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not going to spend it on me the whole time. Trust me, I'm going to build cool things, do fun stuff. I'm going to get other people doing fun stuff.
Also, it doesn't have to be a mind-blowing thing. Like if we learn anything from like the Stanley Cup,
just like a little,
it doesn't have
like
to be
fidget spinners. Do you remember that shit,
dude?
I mean, if I'd invented that, I mean, those things were around. Let's just be fair; they were around once before, but they never really. It's about like that sweet spot.
It's a moment in time.
A moment in time.
And
so right. Okay, Pums, you and I are going to apply our brains. This is going to be the year we invent some stupid stuff that everybody loves. Something that's just like takes off, right? Anyway, we'll see how it goes. We'll keep an eye. All right, lots of comments. Do you want to look at what's happening in the comments?
Yes, I missed everyone. I missed everybody, and I saw somebody already sent compliments.
So Mo Rabbit, compliments. That's what you said we must say.
Yeah.
It's not Happy New Year. It's compliments. Even the guys at the garage this morning when I filled up my car, they were like, compliments.
Compliments,
like,
Mikey, but you only have there's a window. You
Hmm.
can't be saying it 2 weeks from now.
No. In fact, I reckon it's already your window's ended. Larry David agrees with me. Oh, by the way, I saw Curb Your Enthusiasm season 12 coming out next month. It's the last season. Even good things is what this is their tagline is. Even good things must come to an end.
Oh,
so Susie and Larry and all of those characters.
When does the new season start?
February the 4th or somewhere around there. Anyway, so Snipes and Mo Rabbit here in the comments. Mo Rabbit says, been using Stanley flasks and mugs for years. It's a great product. All right, well, awesome. Max Sony says to me, I must get my shitless pill out. Now, this is, you know about this? Do you know about this? You don't? Oh,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm ready.
I wish I could. You know, I should have a patent lawyer just following me around because I do come up with, I think, pretty wacky ideas. And if I could just get them started.
Okay, tell me about
So the shitless pill, I've always believed it's the most uncivilized, unsophisticated, retrograde thing that we have to sit down and shit through our assholes. I just think it's so stupid. There's got to be a way we can just produce a little pellet out of our big toe and just like kick it away. We all wear open shoes or whatever. We just kick it out of the way and into the garden and it like fertilizes or whatever, does its thing. Doesn't smell. It's not gross. And the fact that we have to squat over an open hole and like, it's just so disgusting.
Oh.
But that would take a huge, huge move in evolution.
Yeah, I'm ready.
You've already had enough.
Cut.
All right.
Cut. No ways.
Yeah. Toodles Toodles says, how much money do you need to start helping us? What do you mean?
Helping you with what?
I give you
We help you.
We do the
every
show.
day.
Yeah. I mean, would you like me to stop doing this and charge money for it or something? I mean, Toodles, why don't you be grateful? Okay.
What is Toodles? What kind of help does Toodles need?
Yeah. What kind of help? What do you need?
What
help
kind
shitting?
of help do you need, Toodles? I think we're quite helpful.
Yeah.
Starting your day off with like important information.
Gareth, I think you'd be a horrendous rich person. You'd become somewhat of a recluse. I'm already like that. Do you know what I did? I had a party over December, and I invited. It was a small group of my friends. It wasn't huge. It wasn't like a 40 people party. It was like 12, maybe 15 people, which is a lot. But
That's a lot of people.
I looked at these people, and I love them. They're my friends. I looked at them at about 11 o'clock that night, and I went, I actually want you all to go home. I was suddenly very resentful that they were in my space. It was the weirdest thing, and I started hating the fact that they were. No, it was. This is such a problem. I haven't spoken about this before because I haven't really been sure I should.
You're in a safe space.
Oh my! So I just looked around the room, and I thought, can't you all just go away? And I suddenly realized, oh, you are a curmudgeon.
As long as you don't say it out loud. Although, kids' birthday parties. When I used to take kind of kids' birthday parties.
Yeah.
But the best thing about it is they had a period of time, right? It was from 10 to 12 or from 2 to 4. So you arrive at 2.
And then you get out.
I was
looking at these people, and
that's what you need. You need like a stop. 9 to 12.
I don't want to be that grumpy guy who like wishes everyone would go away and leave him alone and I want to be alone.
But yet here you are.
I was. And so I made a little promise to myself that I'm just not going to do that again.
Oh, no.
No. Just for the year. I'm just going to do it. So by the way, I'm not drinking this year. And it's been the easiest thing ever. I went to a cousin of mine's birthday dinner last night, which was awesome. I wasn't even slightly tempted. People were having whiskey and wine and carrying on. It didn't even interest me. I have zero, and I know it's only 10 days in, so I shouldn't be like crowing about this as if it's some achievement. I don't think it is. But I have not had any desire. I've not touched a drop of alcohol since I said Happy New Year at 23:59 on the 31st.
You stayed till midnight.
And I miss nothing. What do you need from your bag there?
I need...
What's going on here? What are you unpacking? Look at this. Sanela says, Sis Phumi looks so hot. I might drop the sis for the day with all due respect. Nice. All right.
Oh, I need out of my bag.
What happened to your plans to start the tequila business, says Nick? Well, I mean, it's something I still want to do, but I've got to go to Mexico to do that.
So much.
Anyway, I don't need to fill you in on the detail. Let me launch it when and if it comes about, and then we'll talk about it again, because I don't want the pressure. And if it doesn't happen, you guys are going to say, oh, well, he's just all talk. So Larry David says it out loud. Okay, time to go. I said it out loud that night, and it wasn't because I was thinking of Larry David.
Did you say it?
I looked at my watch. Actually, I don't have a watch. I looked at my phone, and I went, guys, you got half an hour.
The good news is they're all your friends.
Well, they still love me,
and they love you.
Oh my God!
And they know that this is you. This is the madness they have to deal with. But I'm telling you, if you're upfront, you just because also you then can get yourself into a psychological space that says, I'm gonna have people over from 6 to 11.
Like right now, I don't even want them over. I'll get better. It's not gonna it's not gonna be the permanent thing, because I was talking to Rena. We went to Cape Town last weekend for something, and she gave me this proper like talking to on the plane. I need those from time to time. She was like, you got to get your shit together. And I listened, which I listened, which is good, because sometimes I just goes right over my head. And she's like, you got to stop this, do that. Like good life advice from someone who has known me for 25, almost 27 years. And I listened and I thought, yeah, she's right. And I know that I have these weird antisocial tendencies.
Yeah.
But deep down, because she does these personality profiles, which you know just as well as she does. And deep down, I am an extrovert and I do like people. And that's not going to go away. You never change. Your underlying personality always stays the same. So I do I'll get back into it, but at least for a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months, who knows? I'm just going to be focused on the stuff rather than the people. And let's see how that goes.
Mhm.
I'm not one of those new year, new me people either. So I know what I'm dealing with. And you know what? By the time I reach March, end of March, if I've decided I've got boring and I'm antisocial and drinking is an important part of getting me back into being social, then I'll just start drinking again. I don't have an issue with it. It's not like I stopped because I was worried.
I started rewatching. There was a show a couple of years ago, maybe longer, with Callister Flockhart called Brothers and Sisters.
I'll watch anything with her in.
She's extremely.
Do you remember when she
skinny
was
in
very
this thing.
thin? Yeah, is she still very thin?
Yeah.
And is she still?
She's got no boobs.
Yes,
and
but I did like her in Ally McBeal. And
so she's that waif.
Okay.
In this one, she is that.
And she was in Supergirl. She was Supergirl's boss.
Yes.
And I remember thinking, she still looks fantastic.
In Supergirl, she's awesome.
Isn't she with Harrison Ford still?
She is still with
Oh
Harrison
my
Ford.
God. I mean, he's like 100 years old.
There's a new thing coming out in a couple. Do you remember Feud? There was a show with Feud about Capote, the writer.
Yeah, Truman Capote.
Yeah. So this is a new version of Feud. This is the old money, New York, which is.
Everybody's talking about that because I've seen a lot of noise.
And she's in it.
Okay, so she's in that. The other one everyone's talking about is The Gilded Age, which I haven't seen.
I haven't seen
but
that.
people are saying that's great too. Anyway, Callister Flockhart is with Harrison Ford. Now,
listen.
Harrison Ford, he is the stereotypical grumpy old man. Have you ever seen an interview with him anywhere in the last 20 years? I mean, like, since the I think the last... Yeah. Oh my.
So they also Disney had that Indiana Jones the
remake.
Why?
Well, it's not a remake. This is the one with where he travels back in time and
he's already 100 years old in that one. I haven't watched it.
Listen, Harrison Ford, he doesn't even do dialogue anymore. He just grunts. And if Callister Flockhart will stick it out with him, there's hope for me. Right? There's hope.
But, I don't know. There's a.
He just grunts. He just goes. You don't even know what he's saying
Although,
anymore. Fucking Han Solo.
But also Harrison Ford is that distinguished older gentleman. I can see why Callister's with him. All I'm saying is I can see why Callister is with him.
If you watch any of the interviews he's done on these late night shows or when he's doing a press junket, he is so disinterested in being there. You could just tell he just wants to do what the contract requires and get out. He has no love for his craft anymore. He hates doing the press. He hates dealing with people. He's just the most curmudgeonly. In fact,
now I'm gonna.
When you look up grumpy old asshole on Google, picture Harrison Ford pictures up.
Oh,
I sort of admire that.
You see, this is. If you admire such things, the hope for you is dwindling by the minute.
I love this. Someone says in the comments after that thing we discussed last year, why you never give me Toodles? That's what he is. Toodles is why you never give me. That, by the way, has become a very important part of my lexicon. Now, when anybody is ungrateful or demanding, I just go, why you never give me? We've got lots of politics to talk about in the next hour, so we're going to save it for then. But people are, I mean, again, you talk about how this year has just started and we've already got so much to talk about. It's
started with the table shaking. The table was shaking.
Oh my God.
At the beginning of it all. Yes, we're going to talk about the ICJ hearing. It starts at 11.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll talk about it in the next hour. But Basitsane is like this. What she's waiting for.
Carl says, I'll be honest and vulnerable here. This is something that because Carl's usually just full of shit and throwing around insults and invective. So he says, I'm battling to not drink since the holidays. I need me some whiskey. It's not good, man.
Sure.
Listen, I think that
one whiskey at bedtime is not a bad thing.
You know, if you think about it, my grandparents, my grandfathers, I didn't know the one terribly well. He died when I was still quite young. But they both used to have a whiskey every evening before. No, one whiskey. They could control themselves. They weren't getting like hammered. But that was a thing that generation did at the end of a day. It felt like a civilized thing to do. And if that's your thing, and it's not like you have to finish the bottle, I don't think that's bad necessarily. I mean, everybody has their coping mechanisms for life.
Yeah,
you do
I
you,
think
man.
It's
Don't feel
only
any
a problem
pressure.
if you can't control yourself or the compulsion. If it's
Yeah.
so like,
And if
I
it's
can't
starting
go
to
bed.
hurt, if it's starting to hurt you and other people. So Snipes wants to know here, ask Phumi, what's your take on Mbongeni and Ngema's funeral and Leleti forgave and forgot? Did you see those Magogs singing the theme? They looked so thirsty. What is Snipes talking about?
So Mbongeni and Ngema passed away.
I know that. I
And
wasn't
there
that
was
out of it.
No, I'm just and there was a televised
Funeral.
memorial
In
and
Durban.
funeral. Yeah. And Leleti showed up, obviously, and then there was they had a young group of I don't know what they called that group in particular, but then they sang, the main theme from Sarafina, and all the singing and whatever, and Leleti was singing along with them, and I think everybody was a little bit.
I didn't see that ungrateful Whoopi Goldberg pitch up for the funeral. Did you?
No, but and everybody was. There were a lot of people who were touched because it's well documented the relationship, the difficult relationship between Mbongeni and Leleti, and the abuse and all of that. And people were like, "How? She's singing along, she's forgiving and forgetting." Because funerals are loaded experiences.
That's why,
especially when a person is as complex as Mbongeni was.
Yeah, he was.
Because he was this larger than life character. He did all of the stuff. He was at the forefront of what we call protest theater. He wrote these amazing plays, and took the world stage, as it were, particularly with Sarafina, but with Asina Mali, all of that kind of stuff. But at the same time, this man had serious flaws in his personality. And the two things that often get spoken about is he was a sexual predator, right? There's lots of stories of young girls in eThekwini, where he's from, driving around, like picking up girls, like talking up people, and very abusive. Abusive with his first wife, abusive with Leleti, abusive with the subsequent, I think the third wife after that.
Can I ask you something? Why do we only ever deal with this stuff when someone's dead? And in this country, we also see... What is that?
We're afraid of them when they are alive.
That's interesting. And we also we're the only country that I can think of, there may be others and I'm just not aware of them, that turns... Because every country does funerals for their statesmen and major public figures, but we do it for people in entertainment, and we televise these things. I remember, like when
yesterday was Peter Magubane's funeral.
Yeah, but exactly, he was a great photographer. Who was that soap actress?
Soap actress?
Yeah, man, the big colored woman.
Oh, Surti.
Charlene Surti Richards.
Yeah.
She was often on Cliff Central. Sorry, I forgot her name. It just escaped me for a second. When she died, they were outside her house with cameras and I thought, this is not what other people in other countries... We have this thing about like funerals and death in this country, which is just very weird. And I do believe it's a very uniquely South African thing. And we're obsessed with like evaluating people once they're gone, and then the aunts and uncles come out with the stories.
But
you know what I mean?
We had the same thing over this December. We had the same thing with Zahara. We did
the same thing with Riva. And like that, it's white, black, colored. It's all... Everyone does it.
Look, I think that in our communities, in Black communities, funerals are
massive.
Quite a massive,
it's a big deal
experience. And these individuals are individuals that live in the collective consciousness of many South Africans. So I think when it comes to national interest, are people interested? Are there enough people
they are
interested?
Of course they are. So look, so Mbongeni and Ngema, you were saying he had like a lot of demons in the cupboard. And Are you saying that this is also a reason that people were most interested in his story and Leleti and the drama?
And the drama and these stories, I mean, if you think about it, these stories don't only come out after they're dead. I think that like a Mbongeni story was constantly in the Sunday world, in the Sunday, in the tabloids and it's an ongoing. And I mean, you remember, I don't know if you remember the thing with him and the song that eventually was banned about Indians and Durban. Do you remember that?
I remember the noise.
So all of those things are a big part of, and TV needs content. TV needs to feed itself with all of this stuff.
Just know,
and we are in an election year. Every platform for the politicians to stand up and say something,
and everything is going to be made political.
Yeah, because
everything.
Who? Not Mbeki Mbalula. What's his name? The from KZN. I remember his name just now. He also got up to talk about Mbongeni dying a fully paid up member of the ANC. I was like, the fuck?
He's the only fully paid up because they can't even pay the tea lady at Lutuli House anymore.
Just in case you were wondering about his ANC membership. A member in good standing.
Like a member in good standing, like that matters. When you go to your maker, when you go and join the ancestors, the most important thing is that you paid up as a member. God, what a joke. Lots of comments here. So okay.
I don't know. Look, so
no, a lot of people talking about this.
I don't know if it's a forgive and forget type of thing. But when the person is dead, I mean, he's dead.
Well, Snipe says, I mentioned the Leleti forgave and forgot. She was 15 when that whole thing happened. I saw this and I thought of you and I was going to message you. Who started the rumor that Tabo Mbeki had died?
And as he said yesterday, there's a video of him saying that the news of his demise has been greatly exaggerated.
Tabo
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Mm.
And why? Why is a very important question. But he is an old guy. It's not it's not unreasonable to expect.
He doesn't look as good as he might, Tabo Mbeki. I mean, every time I see him, it's also just a reminder of like we're all getting older, right? But Tabo Mbeki, I saw him talking about how, remember just before we went on a break, he was saying how he cannot endorse certain ANC councillors. And I thought, he's an old man now. He's definitely a, respectable elder. And that comes with good and bad. At least we respect, and mostly we respect age in this country. We're not all like chasing youth 24/7. I don't think.
Goodness.
I mean, we talked here about Harrison Ford, Tabo Mbeki. These are old guys. Larry David, As Phumi, here's another question from Snipes is full of questions for you this morning. Did you see the drama on the three farm murdered family found in a bucky?
No. When?
Jesus, that doesn't sound good.
I have not seen that. Hey, Baba. Hey, Baba. Snipes, there is a lot going on. There are aliens in Miami. There is Cat Williams shaking the table.
I know.
There's TB Joshua drama.
Yeah, so that is.
There's ICJ.
Yes. Let's save the politics.
There's a lot of shit going on in the world, yo.
That Darren says, my first day back. Have you spoken about Zuma? Is that the last year's news?
We have not spoken about Zuma.
I've been gone since 14 December. Don't worry, Darren, we're saving that for the next hour. We're not going to get into politics yet. There's too much other stuff. Mapelo says, what happened to the Lutuli House story? Are they finding in the streets? We'll talk about that later too. There's even an ad that came up in one of my podcasts the other day.
That says Guning.
Yeah. But Bidvest Bank, I think it is. I give them a mention because they're advertising in podcasts, which is smart of them. And the woman goes, hi, 2023 was a lot. Kuningi. And I thought, yeah, exactly. That's spot on. All right, so let's look at a couple of things because I don't want us to only talk about the hilarity of this year because, it's been...
Hilarity?
It's been hilarious. It's been absolutely hilarious. Don't you think?
I'm not sure yet.
The new
I'm
year...
just reeling.
Well, exactly. So let's look at a couple of the stories that are in the news at the moment. So the government is to appeal load shedding court ruling that excludes key infrastructure. So the Minister of Electricity Sputla, is challenging the ruling declaring load shedding unconstitutional. The minister has until 31st of January to take reasonable action to ensure that schools, police stations, and hospitals are not affected by power cuts. But they can only do what they can do. So it's fine for a court to make a ruling. It's like the court can say all ministers and government officials should stop stealing, but it doesn't mean they will. You can only implement laws as far as they'll be executed, right? So this is like saying, well, Cyril must start growing a spine. You can put that into, you can have that made an order of court, but you can't make the president a courageous man. So I don't know what they were expecting here. But the minister has insisted that it is not the constitutionality of load shedding that is in dispute. He says government agreed ongoing load shedding limited the constitutional rights of South Africans. In fact, he even said that the recent Pretoria High Court ruling had limitations, rather, that needed to be clarified, and that is what they're appealing. So he's not saying, yeah, well, load shedding is sharp. He's saying this is a problem. We acknowledge it's a problem, but I'm trying to sort it out, but I can't make miracles happen.
Yeah, but
you don't like that. You don't buy that.
No, I don't. For me, it's important to also consider why. Why is this an important fight to get into? Should he be getting into this fight?
He can't help it. This case has come about without his say so.
Yeah,
he's been brought in as a party, and I'm not. So, by the way, I'm not in any way trying to stand up for him.
He doesn't need to appeal. He doesn't need to appeal the ruling.
Yeah, I don't understand what
he doesn't need to,
because there's no effect of it anyway.
It's
like whatever the ICJ decides in the next 2 days. I mean, whatever happens at the ICJ, it doesn't actually matter because there's no execution. You can't make a country go to the naughty corner.
Fix the problem.
Yeah,
I think that I feel like we see a lot of this.
It's like it's posturing, right? It's posturing. And there's going to be a lot more in an election year. Let's just say that. I am interested in you, and I don't know if you were going to bring this up, but you pay attention at the beginning of the year, like a lot of people do too.
Absolutely.
Numerology. This came up in conversation last night, by the way, at my cousin's birthday. It was like, what year is it? It's an 8. What does that mean? And you look at the Chinese zodiac.
It's my favorite.
You check that out. This stuff, does it matter, like, to you?
Yeah.
What are you looking for here? What kind of revelations are you hoping for?
I used to buy the Elle magazine. Years ago, I used to buy the Elle magazine because, at the beginning of the year, all the magazines would do like a year in review. Like, what are you talking about? I was like, the grew up in when astrology was a huge thing. There were books every year. But Elle magazine always had the Chinese zodiac. So this year, my friends, you'll be pleased to know it is the year of the wooden dragon.
What is wooden dragon? That doesn't sound good.
So wait, let me first start here. The Chinese zodiac. The Chinese zodiac is animals, right?
Right, but
and
you
it's an annual thing. So you get an animal. There are 12 animals in the zodiac.
I think I was born in the year of the dragon,
and which means this is going to be a good year for you.
Good year. Okay, I'll take it.
But then there are also elements linked to it. So wood, water, fire, air, right?
Why wood?
Earth.
I know about fire, air, and water. Wood?
It's the Chinese, Baba. It's the Chinese.
Wood.
This is what it is.
So what's a wooden dragon going to do?
So this is what.
Go on. I'm all ears.
Fire, dragon, mythical creature.
Yeah.
Right? So magic. The dragon is the only mythical creature in the 12 because they've got the rat, a pig, right?
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a fiery year, people. It's gonna be a
but it's wood. You said it's wood.
But that is the thing because
of
the extra power of wood and fire. That's what it is. It's not a water dragon. It's a wooden dragon.
Oh, by the way, I looked up. I'm not. I'm in the year of the snake. Son of a bitch. What a horrible creature.
No, it's not horrible like that, Gareth.
I hate the snake. What is this? Why did I get such a shit year?
Listen to me.
Rachel's a wooden dragon. She's very proud of that. She's put it in the comments. Hey, Rachel.
And when I read that, and I thought about the fact that today being the whatever, it's the 11th or something today, right? Already,
it's the 34th of August.
This year has already been so lit.
Oh, Phumi.
So they're right.
Oh no, but we don't need a year of drama, please.
We're having, whether we need it or not, we're getting it.
People were saying,
just be prepared, people. Be prepared.
Even last night, people are now being honest about 2023 and saying, shit, yeah. Everybody, suddenly they're all coming up with, during the year, you're like, put on a brave face. You're like, oh, this is going to be fine. 2023 was a shitty year. Let's just be honest and upfront about this, right? I did not enjoy last year. And I mean, look, there were good things that happened. Don't get me wrong.
Listen.
Evaluating the whole year with the benefit of 11 days of hindsight. I know it's not scientific.
But
shit, yeah. Bastsana agrees with me.
But what I absolutely love about the Chinese zodiac as well is they will straight up say, like most of the zodiac won't. It's always like this or that, right?
Yeah, they'll never.
They will straight up say, "You're gonna have a shit year.
Oh.
You're not gonna have luck this year. Your money troubles are gonna be more." This is what I love about it. So they're like, if you were like born in the year of a goat or a sheep, the two and in a dragon year, just watch your purse because this is not a good money year for you. Just save your money, don't invest. I love that. But what they're telling you about, like, that this year is going to be lit. Because also the dragon is about power, right? The dragon is also about power in the Chinese, world. I love it.
Why did I end up with a snake? What a shit thing. What's yours?
A goat.
Oh, God, that's even worse. A goat. What a horrible thing. I mean, why do they choose such shit animals? So I had a conversation. Really, I mean, like a
you
goat.
Could be a rat.
A goat. Do you know what a goat does? I mean, goats, you've seen them on the side of the road driving through almost any part of South Africa. They destroy everything. They will pull
goats are also smarter than
they'll pull
sheep.
everything out by the roots.
Goats
I know they're smart, but they're destructive as hell. You're not destructive. What a horrible thing to be. Is that what you do? You go around tearing everything out at the root? Jesus, goats are terrible. I hate goats. And snakes, I don't like either. So can we please have sexier animals? I remember I went away with some friends and we were choosing spirit animals for each other because it's a fun thing you do when you've had a couple of drinks and you're like, look around the room. And this one was, and I always thought, and we've got to figure out what I really am at some point if there's someone who knows how you figure these things out. But I always thought I was like something cool, like a leopard or whatever. But clearly I'm not, right? I'm probably the fucking goat or snake or something. So they eventually decided, these friends of mine decided for me that I was a polar bear.
A polar bear.
Which is, I can handle that. I like. I mean, they like cute from a distance, but you get close, you see they're vicious monsters, and they're more or less solitary, but they care about their families, and there's stuff there that I like about. You can find anything.
Do you know solar bears are not actually
polar bears? So, we're so obsessed with losing our power that Phumi's renamed them solar bears.
Polar bears are not actually white. They appear white.
That's like me.
Because they reflect.
That's like me.
The snow.
I'm
around
actually. This is time to announce. I've been a black person my whole life, and this is something I've hidden
just
from
reflect.
You. Yeah, you people have been confused because you're all. Your eyes can't see my blackness. Anyway, so that was my. Have you ever thought about this? Have you got like a spirit animal type thing? I know we're talking such nonsense that the audience is they're about to tell us that we're going to do Reiki and crystal healing and start going gong gong along at the beginning of the show.
Baba.
Do you have an animal?
This is the year. If ever you're going to need like spiritual help, this is the year to call on the Wusa.
Wooden dragon. So what's your animal? Because goats is horrible. We can't go with that.
Is it though?
Yeah, come on. What's to like about a goat except that they can survive everything?
There are lots of goats in the Lokshin. In our Lokshin, there are lots of goats. And you know what the goats in the Lokshin know? They know how to duck the taxis. Like,
for me, if that's your special skill that your spirit animal's given you, then I don't know what to say.
I don't know what my spirit animal would be. What would my spirit animal be? Something.
I don't know.
Can it be something like?
I can't even work out my own. Yeah.
What if it's like a chicken, right?
Oh no!
Just out there foraging its life, foraging away.
Oh, these are such unsexy animals.
Gives you a useful egg now and again. Goes to bed nice and early.
So you just
doesn't like
you provide people with eggs and meat, and this is your function. Oh my God. Brandon says, Gareth, you're taking these animals too literally. I'm in the year of the pig and I love pork.
We have one?
Oh my God. We also had to act out our animal.
Oh my goodness.
So what does a polar bear do? I don't know what they do. They kind of amble around. And then they occasionally go, whatever.
Is it grumpy?
Maybe that's the right animal for me. Who knows? Sugar says, Gareth, you should get a proper African name like Nsizwa. Goats also have the Wi-Fi code, according to Snae. Goats also have the Wi-Fi code to the underground gang, don't they?
They do, Baba. They do.
That's right. Spiritual as hell. Yeah. Well, they are, and they've got those funny eyes with like the rectangular pupil. I don't trust goats. I don't know why. I do not trust those animals. Oh my God. All right. We've talked such nonsense here, but Pumi's lining up for the year of the wooden dragon.
All I'm saying is also the year of the wooden dragon is about power. So this is the year. This is the year to find your power, people.
I can't believe we've just
find your power, take your power, be in your power. These are so that's it. Be in your power with your Stanley Cup.
The only thing we haven't covered is the Epstein list. And I mentioned this on Monday because I'm still laughing at all the memes that are coming out about Stephen Hawking. I mean, really.
People are going to hell, guys. People are actually going to hell.
There's a great
those memes.
Like Weekend at Bernie's meme, which has got Bill Clinton and Prince Andrew holding up Stephen Hawking, who's like in his he's always had the head to the side, and I am here to tell you about the universe. And instead of Weekend at Bernie's, it's like Weekend at Epstein's. I can't get enough of these memes. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this. I just know it's hilarious. And
listen, people
like gross old men who went to this island, and we don't know what happened. We don't know but apparently Epstein had like video of Prince Andrew doing unspeakably shitty things, and Bill Clinton, and I mean, these are sick allegations. If they're true, and I have no reason to either believe or disbelieve them, but it's just so damned upsetting that this kind of stuff goes on in this world. You know,
it is.
I don't know whether I want to take it very seriously because it's a serious thing, and this Epstein thing has been like lingering in the background of conversations for
years now.
Yeah, years and years. And people were like, oh, the list's going to come out, and then they redact the list, and then now suddenly Stephen Hawking's on the list. And I can't help.
Never have been on anybody's bingo card.
No way.
In the history.
There's no way. I mean, how did he participate in orgy? How did he get involved in orgy?
Stephen Hawking at illicit underground
orgies. This is what they said in the papers. It's orgies.
Like,
this man who couldn't move any part of his body is taking part in orgy. It's just unbelievable. I don't know what to make of this. Stephen Hawking used to be my role model, says Sugar Shabalala. Yes. What happened, huh?
These are things
Unreal.
that you could never have seen coming.
No.
Even in the world of making up absurd things.
No,
even in your like
the
Cards Against Humanity.
Exactly. the AI generator that's generating every possibility probably wouldn't have come up with this one. Like, what is the most unlikely scenario to be revealed in 2023, 24? Is the Stephen Hawking taking part in an orgy?
Or TD Jakes at P. Diddy.
Oh, what's happened, by the way, with P. Diddy? Yes, let's give that just a second here. So TD Jakes is the famous pastor.
At P. Diddy sex parties. Even that was just like,
what are people doing?
When I saw that, I thought, I'm ready to get off social media for the year.
I don't know.
Because TD Jakes, Baba.
I don't know what to make of this. And there are people all over the world who are entrusting TD Jakes with their souls, you know? They're like, you make sure I get to heaven, dude. And this is not the guy you should be relying on.
Umfundisi.
No, it's bad.
So that was really, really bad. And then Stephen Hawking. I was just like,
it's just, again,
Sienzani, what are we doing?
Never put any human being on a pedestal. Never. Any kind. Because they all are there's so many flaws that you don't even know about.
So also the question I always ask myself about things like this is, why would you do it? Why would you want to be in a group setting doing such things? Never mind.
Especially
why are there cameras
with creeps,
and
with creeps like Epstein around, and you know that there's already, because he was famous for this stuff. People knew about him. And Bill Clinton, why would he get it? He had been president, right? He had been president. Why would he get involved in something like this?
You know that meme? Cut. Cut. I think we're ready to pack it up. We're ready to call it a day. People, pack it up.
Yeah,
call it a day.
All right.
Okay, no, Gareth, we got so completely sidetracked. We were still doing serious things like the news.
We were. Okay, so one last thing in the news. Just one last thing that we've got to get sorted out here. And it's actually something that came up in the comments as well. It is this Ecuador situation. So here's another Kuningi story, right? Ecuador's president has ordered that criminal gangs be neutralized after days of violence culminated in an attack on a television studio. Don't touch me on my studio.
Baba, this was not a touching on the studio. This was
masked
live
gunmen.
TV, masked gunmen taking people hostage.
Masked gunmen broke into the public television channel TC's live studio during a broadcast, forcing staff to the floor. Police made 13 arrests following the attack, which injured 2 employees. At least 10 people have been killed since the 60-day state of emergency began on Monday. During Tuesday's assault at the TV station, one gunman pointed a pump-action shotgun at the head of one of the captives, who was also threatened with a revolver. A woman could be heard pleading, "Don't shoot, please don't shoot." AFP news agency reports a person could be heard screaming in apparent pain. "Please, they came in to kill us," an employee told the AFP. "God, don't let this happen. Criminals are on air." One cameraman was shot in the leg and another's arm was broken in the attack, the deputy director of news said. Ecuador sounds bad. So if you think you got it tough in Ladysmith with floods up to your shoulders, or you're Chinese, you're born in the Chinese year of the goat or the snake, there's worse stuff.
I am born in the year of the goat.
I know. I know.
Saying.
I don't know. What is it? What happens to goats during a year of the wooden dragon?
I hope they don't get eaten by a dragon. That's all I'm saying.
Ah.
It just, all it said is I must watch my purse. That's what it said. It said, don't let people fuck with your money.
I listened to a podcast, which was kind of a little depressing, but fascinating, about how social mobility is almost always in your DNA. In other words, if you are not born in a certain stratum of human, you are doomed by your DNA. Your DNA will determine what kind of person you make children with, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, right?
This is true.
And it will keep you in your social hierarchy,
Did
wherever
this
you are.
podcast come from India and their caste system?
Nope. You would think, right?
Is this
Or
an
like
Indian
or like
podcast?
ancient Middle Age feudalism. That's what you'd think, but it isn't. This is the work being done. It's a guy called Gregory Clark, or he's a professor at, I think, Edinburgh University. I'll look it up. I'll get you the details. But he basically says, and I listened, it's like an hour and 16 minutes. He says, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you think it's your free will and your hard work ethic and merit and, putting in the hours, and that is not what will determine your social mobility.
No, you have to find the Illuminati. What determines your social...
Basically what he's saying is, if you were born in a certain upper class stratum, that's where you are.
Yeah.
If you're a poor working class person, he said, forget about it. This is what this guy told us.
This guy
kind of depressing.
Needs to have a conversation with Cat Williams about how ludicrous.
All right.
Went from being ludicrous with like sideburns to being $200 million ludicrous in the Fast and the Furious 56. This is, you have to, there are one of two ways to get out of your social mobility is determined by one of two things. If you can find the Illuminati, and then you do whatever, you show up at this Jeffrey Epstein Island, you do it, right? Then you're gonna find your way into that next stratum of social mobility.
You say so.
Alternatively, you have to be at the crossroads and meet the devil at the crossroads and sign in blood, your own blood, sign his contract.
Yeah, I'm not going to say. Are you talking about selling your soul? So, okay, here's the guy. His name is Gregory Clark. He's a professor of economics at the University of California, Davis, and he's a Danish National Research Foundation professor in economics. He's also a visiting professor of the Economic History Department at LSE, and he became a distinguished professor at the University of California, Davis. So he's currently involved in the nature and implications of the determination of social outcomes in England from 1600 to 2023, based on a complete lineage of a set of 422,000 English people across that time period. This will form the third of a Hemingway-punned trilogy of books about the selection pressures in the long Malthusian era, the development... See, well, this is what I was doing. While you were having a holiday, this is what I was doing.
Although we have seen the English people standing in those queues to see the Queen.
They love a queue, hey.
We've seen the English people.
I love being a working class. I like Coronation Street and going to Down Pub.
This is where he's doing his research.
Oh,
I don't know. This guy.
TD Jakes. People are talking about TD Jakes.
Bona. All I'm saying is there are other ways to get to the next social stratum. And
all right.
Time and again, we have...
You say so, but that's not what I heard, and we've got to leave it there, Pums, because it's time for politics. That's coming up next. We've got an election year ahead of us. It's going to be a big year. There's plenty to talk about. We've got a Cliff Central alumnus in the form of Roman Cabanac, who's going to be joining us. He has, if nothing else, points of view and he is going to set fire to your 2024. The wooden dragon.
He brings wooden dragon energy.
The wooden dragon's going to burn if you let this man.
Wooden dragon energy.
If you let this man into your head this morning. And I suggest you do. He's got some interesting ideas. He's a self-declared anarchist. He likes having. He thinks South Africa is the best place in the world, and he'll tell you why. But it's not for the reasons you think so. That I can promise you. So Ramon's up next. He's our guest. It's going to be a shit-hot burning platform. Stick around for that and a whole lot more. CliffCentral.com. Wow, are we off to a fiery start in the year of the wooden dragon? Don't go anywhere. Okay, we have to get rid of that slow fade of the intro music to the beginning of a new show. It is burning platform time, and the first one of 2024. There is so much on the table to discuss, and I can't think of anyone more incendiary than our good friend Ramon Cabanac. It's nice to see you, my friend. How are you?
Morning. I thought you were going to say insightful.
Yes.
I thought you got the wrong guest. Incendiary.
Incendiary is you. And just own it, because you know what? This is the year of us just calling ourselves what we are. Every time you open your mouth, and I see you I still follow you. Are one of the few people that I follow on social media and laugh constantly because you tear into everyone. You love when people make assholes of themselves, which is regularly, especially in the political realm in this country.
Indeed.
You were an original Cliff Central founder alumnus, along with Jonathan Witt, when you started the Renegade Report, which was ahead of its time in so many ways. The two of you, before anyone else had founded any kind of political talk show, you guys were doing some heavy lifting at that stage. It was legendary, gained audience in leaps and bounds. And since then, you've gone on to continue being a lawyer and a shit stirrer in your own capacity. And you do the morning shot, which I have to say is a tremendously insightful and useful and informative way to start your day.
Well, thank you very much. The Morning Shot's a YouTube show that myself and my co-host do. And I try to, for the first 2 years, we try to be really serious about South Africa and look at the policies and understand. And now we're just like, this place, we're just going to call it Retardistan. Everyone has a very low IQ. From all the political parties are just moronic. A lot of the voters are moronic as well. So we're just like, you know what?
You get the government you deserve, right?
You get the government you deserve and just have fun.
So I said to Phumi, and this is a great place to launch the conversation. It is an election year. There's a lot going on. I said to Phumi, you love South Africa. And this is one of the reasons I find it fun to engage with you is when I'm feeling low about the things that you just mentioned, you say to me, but this is great. This is what we want. You want an incompetent, incapable government. He's exactly the opposite of Helen Ziller. She believes in the capable state. He believes the best place to be is in an incapable state.
That's right.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
So explain your philosophy to Phumi.
All right. So just very briefly.
And to all of us.
Very briefly. The state is completely broken. And the state, I'm talking about the edifice of, the political realm and the institutions of the realm. Except we don't really have a state anymore. There's no monopoly on violence. There's no basis for any infrastructure. And there was a third thing that determines what a state
we don't have borders.
That's right. Borders. That's the third one. We don't have any of those. So we don't physically, literally have a state, philosophically, spiritually, legally. So that means we can do sort of whatever we want. A lot of people use it.
Ultimate freedom.
And a lot of people use it to do crime, which is why we've got such a high crime rate. But for the rest of us, I mean, I've got 2 children. I've got perhaps many more things on the way. I can't think of any other place I'd rather be other than here, because I can literally homeschool them if I want to. I can send them to any school in the country that I want to if I can pay for it. I can buy as many guns as I want to. I can do whatever I want in this country. And it's fantastic and it's wonderful. And more people should be proud of that.
But the ultimate irony is that you are also a lawyer. So
I left that last year.
So you're not lawyering anymore at all?
No, I'm doing other things now.
Okay.
A lot more interesting things.
All right.
But yeah, the state doesn't exist. Once you have that in your mind.
So when the rest of us are getting worried about what the elections could deliver, you don't care.
I used to be like that until very recently. But now I just don't care, because irrespective of what happens, the state won't be fixed.
Doesn't matter who takes over.
I mean, John Steenhuisen and Helen Ziller can run this country as a theocracy for 10 years. There's no army. There's no borders. There's no police. What are they going to do? Fix a few potholes? Maybe. I mean, kudos if that happens, but no.
So you're not looking for what so many in South Africa are, in that they're looking for a government that can fix things, make things work, make things efficient, make the trains run on time, sort out the state-owned enterprises, close the borders and patrol them. Gayton McKenzie's doing that. We must talk about that a little bit this week. He's in a high-vis jacket.
On the border there.
Yeah, at the Limpopo River.
Just think about this.
With his ass crack out.
A politician. but just think about this.
Is that your takeaway? Is that his ass crack is
Oh my God,
I think it's great.
I felt violated.
Just think about this. A politician is manning our borders and chucking illegals back into the Limpopo River.
That's proof
without any help from the border authority,
and
police.
And the reason he's doing it is because no one is going to stop him.
Well, it's good politically, and he can do it if he wants to.
There aren't any army people to stop him, so he can do what he wants, which proves your point.
But responding to your question, like deep down, I am very close to fascist. Like I like closed borders and law and order, and like Nayib Bukele from El Salvador, like he's my hero.
Right.
Oh my God.
But we don't have one of those in South Africa. So if you can't have the best, have nothing. And that's just going to be my view.
All right, Pums. Now that he's completely upset the apple cart, we've got to. You can ask him whatever you want to ask him, and let's just set that up. But we've got a bunch of issues, so if you'd prefer, we can just get straight into the subjects.
So I think it's important this early in the year to kind of pull out all the things that we are facing that we're going to see coming at us, not just in South Africa, but throughout the world. And I think that it is fascinating to watch it from whatever point of view. And this is the thing about being in the space that we're in. And so this anarchist point of view, burn it all down. Great. It's important. It's important because...
One second. I'm not saying burn anything down. It's burning down by itself.
You're not taking any part in that.
And we're not going to reverse it politically. So accept it. Look after yourself and your family and your people. That's it.
Okay, so you become an individual, an isolated, atomized individual in chaos.
Well, that is the big danger. So you shouldn't be that. You should ensure that, like the July riots in KZN were a great example of that.
Mm-hmm.
People found out who all their neighbors were and they stood together across highways.
I still say that was like, that was a big nation building moment.
Very
it really
much
was.
so.
Yeah.
And I've been to KZN since. And you can see that those structures still exist. So don't become an atomized individual. That's what causes the chaos in the first place. Become part of
your community,
your local community.
Play a role in your family. Start with the stuff immediately around you.
Family is first.
Because mostly people start worrying about the president and the nation.
Oh, yeah, no.
These are very big things that are unwieldy.
And they don't care about you whatsoever.
No,
I mean, speak to Cyril.
But you can't escape, even though you're an anarchist, you can't escape paying tax. You can't escape. You can't escape the ordinary. You can't get away from the potholes on the roads. You can't get away from inefficiency. Well, okay, so you buy a car that it's expensive. These things. So ultimately, you're saying the only way to insulate yourself from the chaos and anarchy is to have lots of money.
Well, you don't.
Then it's paradise. Is that what
you don't
saying?
rely on the state at all for anything, which costs a lot of money. Yes, for taxes, if you're self-employed, it's relatively easy to avoid for the most part. But if you are an employee, it's much more difficult.
Right.
I'm not saying this is going to be easy, but this is just a reality of living in South Africa.
If you're self-employed and operate in a cash only,
like you have a spaza shop.
Yeah, if you operate in a cash only environment, then you have some kind of insulation, because don't forget that SARS actually have got permission to go directly to your bank.
They can
access your bank account and get their money.
But remember, SARS only collects 20% of taxes. The rest is all compliance. The commissioner of SARS has admitted this. He only collects 20% of taxes, and it's like customs and commodity stuff.
That's interesting.
But the rest is compliance.
So V. Ruus wants to know straight up: do you vote, and are you going to vote?
I voted for myself.
Yeah, I remember you had
2019. We had the captain's party with
Canton
Pillay, and that's the only time I voted. Ever, yeah, absolutely.
All right. A lot of people asking about Gayton, so maybe we start there. Do we have open borders in South Africa? No. This is a massive story in America at the moment, and I'm always trying to draw parallels so we don't think we're the only country in the world with problems, because there are big problems all over the place. Joe Biden's administration is coming under increased pressure that the southern border is just open. People are just literally walking across the Rio Grande, which is what people do here in the Limpopo. Some get eaten by crocodiles, but lots and lots of people are just walking across the border from Mozambique, from Zim, from everywhere. People
coming through those ways of getting into the country are actually injured or killed by elephants than crocodiles.
Oh my God. All right. So there are, at least they don't have those in Mexico and the US, but people are coming here. You could call them refugees. You could call them economic migrants. They're fleeing even worse places than us to come here. You don't think
refugees.
So? Why are you shaking your hand or your head already?
What, refugees from where? Zimbabwe. As far as I know, it's a state. It's democratic. They've got their own money and their own borders. And
I'm not saying they're legal. I'm not saying they've called themselves
There's no
refugees.
such thing as an economic refugee.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Helen Zille got into trouble for that once, didn't she?
I knew if you come from the Eastern Cape, apparently. That's when you're an economic refugee.
All right, so do we have open borders?
No, we have no borders.
No.
Big difference.
We have lots of corruption at the borders. We have insufficient border control. We have a very porous system. Mozambique, Zimbabwe. But that's also not just it, right? Because hence the corruption. Is there also lots of people who get here on a plane? not coming across the border from Zimbabwe or Botswana. They also get you on a plane. How do you get from Pakistan to South Africa? You can't walk here.
Yeah,
I think they come by Mozambique as well. But I've spoken to magistrates and police officers, and they keep telling me, like, if you are a victim of a crime and the criminal is an illegal immigrant, don't take him to the police, because then they go to court, he's out on bail, and they disappear. They don't know who he is. They don't have IDs. There's no identification whatsoever. So you actually take them to Home Affairs, and Home Affairs processes and deports them.
Oh,
but
that's a useful. There we go.
There we go.
First week of the year, and we've got a helpful tip.
Top tip. But there's a lot of story. I know quite a few people, and they keep saying that half the time they're unable to identify perpetrators of crime or suspects or victims of crimes, because there's
no records.
There's no records. I mean, Home Affairs is a nightmare. We can assume some of those are South Africans, but a huge majority of victims of crimes and perpetrators of crimes cannot be identified. Are they foreign illegal nationals? Probably a lot of them are.
Do you think that Gayton McKenzie is just an opportunist here because he sees a way of embarrassing the government and making people think he's a practical guy who's doing things, or is there more to it than just a bit of posturing, grandstanding, and opportunism?
Opportunism.
That's all it is.
Opportunism.
And Gayton McKenzie. Let's not forget who this guy was before he saw the opportunism in politics, right?
This conflates on a number of issues in South Africa. One of them being the proliferation of new political parties.
Oh my God.
I just saw a thing from the IEC that between September and December of last year, there were an additional, I think, 20 parties that were registered with the IEC, including Roger Jardine.
Yeah, remind me. Both of you.
Do you remember him? Anyway.
Just remind me, we got to talk about at least two of these. We got to talk about Roger Jardine and their damp squib launch at the end of last year.
And we're going to talk about the MK party.
That's it.
But what it's indicative of is that we have a vacuum in terms of leadership. So everybody is thinking, there's no leadership, I'm going to do something about it, right? That's the other thing.
Which you've been encouraging.
I still do. I really, really still do.
That's all the grift.
And I think that, and I think that what the Patriotic Alliance, which, by the way, was not started by Gayton McKenzie and Kenny Kunene, they have just taken it over, essentially. They have seen an opportunity as well. So I think also a grift. And this is one issue that they can bang on about because it seems to resonate. It's a populist issue that is resonating with a lot of people, because when you are oppressed, when you are feeling under by every other, what do you look for? You look for a weaker person to beat on. And that's what they're doing.
Well, I'm just glad for once it's not the whites, so I support the PA and the minorities. For everyone else, it's like, oh, the whites did this, the minorities did that. For once, it's like someone else. So I know Gayton. We did a vlog with him in Beaufort West. We did an interview with him. The guy believes what he believes. And the guy does have very good reasons for being anti-immigrant. That's something that he's come into since he started the party and has spoken to his constituency. And a lot of the constituencies say, immigrants are just coming in and,
they take our jobs.
Taking our jobs and creating spaza shops and doing better than us in some ways.
And people are bitter and resentful.
That's right.
What's been very fascinating to watch with him, very fascinating to watch with him after the big stunt at the river, right, is also watching now on social media a very big pushback from lots of Zimbabwean expats, Zimbabweans in South Africa, Zimbabweans in Zimbabwe, and stories around Gayton McKenzie's Zimbabwean exploits or lack thereof. Trying to get into Zimbabwe, trying to do business in Zimbabwe, trying to get close to, according to what I'm seeing these reports, trying to get close to Mnangagwa and being part of the gold mafia and being shut out. And that this is why he has this huge vendetta, particularly against Zimbabweans. And this is one of the things that have come up quite often with him and his rhetoric, right? His illegal alien rhetoric is that he has targeted Zimbabweans and doesn't speak much else about all sorts of other foreigners.
Because they're
in
the most
country.
obvious sort of illegal foreigners. Like in America, you're not going to look at,
Canadians.
Japanese illegal immigrants. The Japanese are coming to take over. No, it's Mexicans or Hondurans or whatever the case might be.
Guatemalans.
And, if you want to do business in Zimbabwe, you have to know the president. Like, guys, this is Africa. Like, why are we thinking rules apply?
So
you have to know the president to do business there. And if you get shut out, you get shut out. But that's the way to do business.
And here, by the sound of things, because
or if you know the president here, you lose everything by the sounds of it. But yes.
You lose everything?
The man has no friends. Have you seen him recently? His only friend is Fikile, and Fikile is retarded.
Okay, we'll get to Fikile.
The man has many friends.
So we started with Gayton. I'm rubbing my hands with glee because we've got to talk about the MK party. But before we even get to that, does anyone, even if he walked past you in the street tomorrow, would you know who Roger Jardine was? And I don't know the guy. I can't say I've met him. I don't have any axe to grind with him. He may be the loveliest person in the world. There are a lot of people I know who speak very highly of him. I cannot tell you anything about Roger Jardine. Can either of you help?
So I've got a story. So this was confirmed by a source of mine. No, this was confirmed by a source of mine. So here was the plan. The plan was for Roger Jardine to become the president of the multi-party coalition, Moonshot Pact, whatever you call it. In return, they needed the DA's buy-in for that. And the DA and the multi-party coalition would have received R1 billion for this to happen. But if you look at Roger Jardine, former UDF guy in Mandela's cabinet as a DG or something like that, the guy's basically an Mbekiite ANC guy.
Okay.
So for me, you bribe the DA with R1 billion, you put Roger Jardine in charge of the Moonshot Pact, you're basically trying to make the opposition nullified. You're making them ANC light, literally. And it didn't work because the DA said, no, we got principles, we don't care about money. Maybe the only political party in
so
this
they
particular
had
regard.
to do something with their R1 billion.
Well, they said no to the deal.
Right.
They said no.
No,
to the deal.
I mean that the people who were offering them this money
Yes.
now had to do something with this money.
Well, they're given 50 million to Jardine to run this damn squib of a political party
You
where him and Rise Mzansi are on a race to nowhere. Like they're competing against
we never
each other.
Listen, I love Songezo Zibi. I think he's a great guy, and I think he means well, just like I think Roger Jardine might be. I don't know.
Who funds Rise Mzansi? Why don't we know?
Who does?
Why don't we know?
I don't know. You meant to know these things.
Where's this billion?
You're our sleuth.
Who is funding this R1 billion that was supposed
the people
to
that
parachute?
used to give money to Cyril.
That used to give money to Cyril.
So you got a lot of, if I may say, a lot of white corporate types
Mm-hmm.
who know very well how to make money, but have absolutely no idea how politics works at all. And they keep thinking,
And they try to hedge their bets.
all we need to do is make a better ANC. Like that's the only thing they got in there. We need a better ANC.
Yeah, because they make
like
money.
the Mandela ANC.
They've made money.
No. They've also got the savior complex where they want to save South Africa. You remember when Zuma was around?
Yeah, they've made a ton of, and there's guilt. They've made a ton of money over the last couple of years, and
they
there's
don't
guilt.
want to save South Africa. They want to save their earning potential.
No.
What they are looking to save
There's a bit of
is
there's a
where
bit
they
of,
make their money.
Probably they have more money
And
than
where they make their money.
they have enough money to last a lifetime.
But
they want
has
their
that ever stopped
they
anybody?
want their kids to have the same lifestyle that they have in South Africa.
Has that
Simple as that.
enough money has never been the thing that says to somebody, okay, I'm going to stop being an evil corporation now. They just want to make more money. Have we not learned anything from Purdue Pharma, right? So
Yeah, and for some reason,
making enough money is not enough to stop a person from wanting to make more.
As part of the equation, no doubt. But a lot of these corporate guys think that because they can run a business, they know how politics works, and they always get smacked in the face. Because Cyril was useless, Mbeki was useless. They didn't support Zuma, which was unfortunate because then the Guptas and everyone else got hold of Zuma.
Tabo Mbeki was not useless.
They've destroyed everything. What?
Tabo Mbeki was not useless.
No, compared to the rest. No, not at all. He's probably the best president we've had.
in the land of the blind. He was the best president we've had.
And for many reasons, right? We had an economy that was doing well.
We had a budget
people who had
surplus.
jobs. We had a budget surplus, and we paid debt.
We would take the Mbeki years without even a hesitation, a moment of thought. We would trade in 15 Cyrils for a rewind back to 99. We would
easily. Easily.
And I will remind you of telling you that we are going to miss these Tabo Mbeki years when you
did say
believed
so.
in Jacob
You
Zuma.
did say so.
I really
But I
miss
think,
Zuma.
the money
Between us,
conversation,
Okay, so
I think the
so
money
hold on.
conversation is an important conversation before we hold on about, because there's so much talk about who funds whom and why. And there's the billion rand that has been touted by everyone. Even Jacob Zuma a couple of days ago told us that he was offered 1.2 billion. And Jacob Zuma, who couldn't keep his hands out of the till when he was the president of South Africa, said, no, I've got principles. I don't want your 1.2 billion.
I think it was in return
But
for
who
not
funds him?
I think it was in return for not nationalizing things. Is that
But
correct?
who funds him?
I don't think Jacob Zuma has any. I don't think anyone's funding that thing.
Oh,
Not to any big deal for now. Maybe the Russians though. Would be
What
great if they did.
what do you think of the MK party? Now, I've heard conspiracy theories and I've heard very sensible ideas proffered by people who are intelligent and who I think have a pretty good handle on things, but I cannot make it up in my own mind. Whether this is just, again, like he's just run out of options and this is what he has to do, or he's got such resentment about the way ANC have treated him, and he's just angry and he's lashing out and he's decided it's time. He can do this on his own, and he can bring the coterie of people who have been on his coattails for such a long time with him. He'll get enough sustenance out of this to survive until he doesn't anymore. And it's just like this is his last ship. Or he just really doesn't care anymore. And it's like crash and burn, Stalingrad. What's going on here?
So I think it's a stroke of genius. I think it's really good to take the ANC's.
He's very
logos
politically smart, this guy.
and very popular.
Very popular.
In KZN, 63% approval rating. Cyril 32.
Mhm.
So it's twice as popular. Cyril, Jardine is like 20%.
And
right?
people have written him off, but he's not finished.
Not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. I actually drove past Nkandla a few weeks back, and
Oh, you saw it with your own eyes.
with my own eyes. And I wanted to go to the front, but there were literally 30 BMWs like on the road to the front door. So I said, no, thanks. But anyway, he's very, very popular. What he has done is taken ANC identity, MK. MK was the only thing in the ANC that sort of worked during the 80s and 70s. It did, let's be honest. And he's taken that for himself. He was the intelligence officer at the time, if I remember correctly.
Uh-huh.
And now he's saying, listen, I'm not suspending my membership of the ANC. I'm still an ANC member, but I can't vote for it under Cyril because Cyril's a sellout to the whites. So what I'm going to do is take the elements of the ANC for myself, MK, and we're going to vote for this political thing. We don't know who the leaders are. There's no party list.
No, but he was busy reprimanding people for jostling for position just yesterday.
Already, yes.
Who are these people?
But what he wants to do, I think what he wants to do is, because he's so popular in KZN, he's basically not allowing the IFP and the DA to have a coalition there to take over KZN next
So
year.
that's the underlying.
So I think the leverage is, if he gets 10% of KZN and ANC's at 41% or so and the EFF's at 5%, he could have that leverage to say, well, you know, we can take KZN, but only with me. Now imagine what sort of concessions he can draw out of that.
I think it's much more sinister than that.
More sinister than that?
I think it is much more sinister than that. I think what we are watching, and I hope that the intelligence are also paying attention, unlike in July 21. I think what we are watching is we are watching a dog whistle that is creating a quasi-military operation that is, and from the various things that we have heard him say, the pieces of video that we see, he is taking a very dangerous, narrow nationalist view of what the Zulu vote is in a vacuum where the IFP has lost so much ground, where the ANC is not strong enough in KZN, and there is no longer an elder statesman in the face of a Mangosuthu Buthelezi to hold it all together. We have a very weak king that has walked into the space, and we have a major unhappiness in the electorate as a whole.
And particularly in
not
KZN.
just with the ANC but particularly with Cyril Ramaphosa, I think it is dangerous to listen to Jacob Zuma say, I didn't know people, there were Sotho-speaking people in KZN, because he spoke about people singing Rea Morata Kaofela, when all of the Ramaphosa, there's that song that they sing, and it's right? And what we are seeing, and using a paramilitary, decommissioned, yes, old people, but creating a space that says, we are going to fight.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
It's a dog whistle. And if anything, if we learn anything from our lack of concentration around July 2021, this man is gearing up to create two things. And he keeps saying and harping on about this, that the election is going to be stolen, that this, we can't trust the IEC. So he's creating a distrust of the electoral process just to create enough of a space to foment violence. And that is why it is more sinister. That is why it's important for me to figure out who does pay for this, who pays for the tents, who pays for the PA systems, who pays for the T-shirts and the cars and all of that mobilizing that you see. And he is popular. He is popular, but also people are disgruntled, This is why it is so much more sinister. And this is why it is actually very dangerous to have an organization that is a shadow organization. You don't know who funds it. You don't know who started it. It kind of says, Jacob Zuma, by the way, who is also the president of SANCO, which is an affiliate of the ANC in KZN. The fuck?
So
this is much more dangerous than an 81-year-old man who is feeling unloved. So this guy was willing twice he was happy with the result of the IEC. He was happy with democracy. He was happy with the way that we vote and the way that votes are counted. He also spoke about why are votes counted in secret? Votes are not counted in secret.
No, all the parties have agency.
Right?
Yeah.
But what he is doing is subtly undermining
democracy.
The process. Democracy works for as long as it was working for him. Now that he's on the outside, maybe this democracy is not so
It's almost like he's a politician.
Oh, do you have anything to add? Do you agree with Phumi?
So I agree completely. I think perhaps he has some maybe he wants to become the warlord of KZN, very much like Mabuza is of not northwest. Where was
Mpumalanga.
Ismail Rashid wants to be the warlord of Free State. So these political parties are the vehicles to make that a reality. And let us not forget, people keep saying democracy is so important, the constitution, X, Y, Z. People don't vote here. No one thinks democracy is important in this country. The only people who think that are people in the media, people within 10 kilometers from here. The average person in this country does not vote. The average person in this country does not know who the politicians are. They have no idea what policies exist, under which auspices, under which umbrella of politics. Democracy is under threat by the ordinary people not voting for it.
But these ordinary people are extremely responsive when the president, the guy who's in charge right now, at least theoretically, goes around saying they will take away your social grants if you don't vote ANC. And this is appalling behavior from the president. Of course, it's a tactic.
But
we expected it, but this is just not true. And of course, we have no one in a position to fact check him in the media because they're all in thrall.
Well, the DA tried to fact check him yesterday. But
and how did that go for them? Did the message get through? Do you think that the average person in the Eastern Cape, who you've just mentioned, don't vote, don't care, don't really know what's going on, you think those people aren't going to hear that message? You're wrong. They're going to hear that loud and clear.
No, they probably are.
There are two indications that tells us sitting here with our microphones and hopefully other people listening to us.
Sure.
It also says to me that it tells me that the ANC is actually worried about the outcome, because to have that conversation, a conversation that says, because they know that people are not going to go and read what the party platform of the DA says about grants and NSFAS. They're not,
No.
But what they are doing is the tactic that they are employing is one that says, we are better than the other guys because we have given you this particular thing. And if you don't vote for us, they go, because they are hearing the rumblings of people that are saying, actually, I actually don't care about you. I actually don't want to vote for you. You have done nothing for me. And so that response.
So,
which,
all right. So I heard some internal polling going on, and these polls are sometimes very, very inaccurate. But I heard that they're projecting the ANC to be below 50% by a small margin, but still below 50%, which sounds to me like about right. And that's kind of where the trends are going. If you've paid attention to who's our friend that we speak to about Davy Skoltz, who's our election guy we talk to every now and then, he pays attention to all the exit polls as they do the small municipal and ward elections across the country. And it sounds like it's probably going to be around 47%. What does that actually look like for a government, a national government?
Well,
Put aside your anarchist tendencies and tell me how you'd evaluate that.
Well, I think the ANC will be very lucky to get 47%.
Really?
Yeah. No,
You think less is coming?
Less, yeah, low 40s. Low 40s. They haven't solved the problems that cause people pain, like load shedding. The Minister of Electricity was 2 days ago. He's like, our forecast for load shedding in 2024 is some days we'll have it and some days we won't. It's like the weather report.
Yeah.
It's raining today. It's not raining today. So they've given up. Like they've given up on trying to solve this.
I do feel
problem,
like they
right?
have given up in so many ways. I mean, even Thandi Modise, who was talking about the borders and Gayton McKenzie, it's like she's going, well, that's wrong and he shouldn't do it and people shouldn't talk like this, but she's not doing anything about it. She's not like saying we're going to arrest the guy.
No.
So it's like,
Everyone's given up for a large part. So assuming that at 45%, I think they can cobble together a coalition between good, if good exists, which I have sincere doubts about, good, ATM, those sort of small parties, the PA, they could get 50, 51%. If it goes where they are at 40% and the ANC needs a 10 or 12% party, a lot of people think EFF is a natural ally. I don't think so.
They're not. They do not. There's a huge group of ANC people who absolutely despise Julius and are terrified of it.
They are competitors in the same pool of votes.
Yeah.
And funny enough, whenever someone leaves the ANC, they never join the EFF, except if you call Niehaus, he's a retard. But for everyone else who's not, they start their own thing, which is very interesting. Right? Why is Ace Bachashule? Why did he start his own thing? Why did Jacob Zuma start his own thing? I'm starting to think maybe there's a big thing to have a big, broad coalition of the hard left, with the EFF being the center pin. But I can't see Ace and Jacob being second fiddle to Julius Malema.
No, they won't.
So I don't think there's a big coalition happening. But most importantly, I don't think they trust the man. I don't think they think Julius is that important as an individual. He's a bit of a cult. The EFF is a cult to him only, and the ANC is built on democratic centralism, and they can't understand and will never work with parties which are cults for the most part. Excuse me.
So I think this is a good time to have a conversation about the EFF and where the EFF are going into this election year. I've repeatedly said here that the EFF have plateaued.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I quote you often on that.
And I actually think that we are going to see them sliding back.
Agreed.
For a number of reasons. And the last press conference that Julius Malema held, which was in KZN, I think, is also very telling. The things that he speaks about, I think that he is a little bit rattled by Songezo, of all people.
Really?
He spoke about him.
How so?
He spoke about him.
He asked who the funders were. Yeah.
He only brings up people who are nipping at his heels. He doesn't really talk about people he doesn't feel are a threat.
Absolutely.
He doesn't even discuss them, which is why he's never even acknowledged
because
Carl
he
Niehaus.
needs to, because
Poor Carl Niehaus coming under such fire.
He needs to point his flying monkeys at someone,
Yes,
right? He needs
correct.
to point his flying monkeys at someone, and so this is.
Thank God a white person didn't
Thank
say
God
that.
you said that. I was about to say.
Jesus,
It
we'd
is
be
a
in trouble.
reference to the Wizard of
I know,
Oz.
but
My
still,
God,
you know how people are. You know how people are. Go on.
But it's important, right? Is because you can tell that there is definitely a little bit of trouble in that paradise.
Also, why we haven't heard a single solitary sound from Floyd Shivambu or Mbuyiseni Ndlozi for ages.
Well, we still see
Do we hear them?
is very, very concerned with Palestine at the moment.
Okay,
so
yeah.
a lot of what he talks about is
All right.
is
Which really
the
doesn't
ICJ,
affect
Palestine
most South
and-
Africans.
Julius's greatest asset is Floyd Shivambu's silence. That man knows everything and he's loyal to a fault. Kudos to him. I can't wait till he gets arrested because I think that is inevitably coming up. There's so much evidence against Floyd Shivambu specifically.
Yeah.
And if Floyd Shivambu turns codes, the EFF's dead. But we'll see how much that can happen. But Floyd knows all the dirty secrets. He knows exactly who funds everything, where the money goes, and he's loyal to a fault. Every political party needs a Floyd Shivambu. I mean, compare him to...
If he's loyal to a fault, he won't
Fikile.
sing.
Well, if you put in enough pressure, maybe, yeah. But compare Floyd to Fikile Mbalula. I mean,
Who
come
can't
on.
shut his mouth. So let's go to that for a second, because I know we're jumping around a lot, but
Sure.
there's so much
It's-
ground to cover.
I told you.
So,
Like this,
Floyd,
yeah.
Floyd, listen to me. Fikile Mbalula this week made comments about Kandla because he's clearly very irked by Jacob Zuma. And he's also Cyril's only real henchman left, right? Because the rest of them are kind of lickspittle, but also the ones that he would normally rely on are going, not really. We're not sure we want to pin our colors to your mast. Because what's happening in the ANC is you're also seeing people scurrying left, right, and center. And I mean that very figuratively. Fikile Mbalula went out on a limb this week, admitted that the ANC stood shoulder to shoulder behind Jacob Zuma during the Nkandla scandal, lied where it was necessary to do so. And he's now running wild trying to put out the fires that he started by this either slip of the tongue or purposeful and Machiavellian, if you believe he's capable of that.
No, he's a 3-year-old. You ask him something and he answers you truthfully. That's the beauty of Fikile Mbalula. I had children who were 3. They're older now. And you say, did you do this? And they'll say, yes. I don't understand the concept of punishment yet. That's what Fikile is like.
And he's never really been accountable for anything. So why
So-
would he understand punishment?
I think, though, if you consider who he was speaking to, the message landed. The message that he was giving out is a message that says, this guy, Jacob Zuma, when he was with us, we protected him, we did all, and now he's the snake that he is now gone out there to be against us. And the people that he was talking to will resonate with this because they will then say, Jacob Zuma, what a snake. They are not going to say, so you guys lied.
Mm.
They're not going to have that conversation. They're going to have the conversation.
Do you think
that
he did a
Fikile-
cost-benefit analysis?
They are going to take the conversation that Fikile was having with these people is a conversation that says Jacob Zuma is a snake in the grass.
Yeah.
We protected him. When he was the leader here, and this is what we do. We protect our own. We lager around them, and that's the message they're going to take. The number of people that are having the conversation we're having that are saying, these guys lied and they knew they were lying. All of that out the window for the people that he is speaking to.
Yeah, but he's speaking to 100 people there, but 1 million people have heard him say that, yeah, we lied, and Jacob Zuma still screwed us, right? It shows a lot for your strategy. But even like Nhleko came out and he says this is the worst Secretary General in 112 years. I think Gwet Mantashe came out and says, you media guys, you must let him learn. Like, he's still young. Fikile is 51.
There's a
guys, or
great video going around of Gwede falling asleep,
Yes.
and like this is recent. This is not like some old clip.
Just 3 days ago.
No, it was 3 days
He
ago.
fell
It was
asleep while
lead
Cyril
up
was
to the
talking.
January
This is how
8th.
seriously
Don't.
these people take you, and this is how seriously they take their own colleagues in the party. He went to sleep. I mean, also that can we stop? You just mentioned that Jay-Z's 81 years old.
He's an old guy.
All of these people are so terrifically old that at least Fikile with his 3-year-old state of mind seems to be truly youthful in some ways. That's the only bit of youthfulness we have in the ANC at the moment. Am I wrong?
Well, I'm secretly hoping he becomes the next president.
Fikile.
Yes. Because then
God, you are just such a shit
you
stir.
know Mencken, right? H.L. Mencken, one of the
Yes.
greatest authors in the world.
Mm.
He had this quote, which I'm going to mangle completely, but he said, one day the will of the people will materialize to such a degree that a downright moron will be in the White House. I mean, it's happened in America with Joe Biden, but imagine Fikile Mbalula being the president of South Africa. It would just solidify Rito Danistan like you cannot believe. We deserve it.
Guys, it's
as a
over
nation.
for the ANC.
We deserve it as a nation.
All right. So
It's over for the ANC.
I'm going to take.
But we must now have a conversation because I'm looking at the time and we're running out of time and there's still so much to talk about.
All right. So let's talk
So
about.
either we speak faster.
No, I
Or we
suggest.
choose
I
one more
suggest
thing to
we
talk
look. You
about.
mentioned how Mbuyiseni Ndlozi is distracted to the nth degree by Palestine, and today South Africa is making representations to the International Court of Justice, and they're going there to declare Israel a genocidal state. What do we make of this? Should we, the obvious retort to this, whatever your point of view, is that when Omar al-Bashir came here, we didn't take them seriously. And
So
now
it's a
we're trying
separate
to.
court,
And no, I know, but
right.
but
This is a
they are
different
linked.
court, but
They
this
are
is
linked.
the same court that Putin
Well, this is the other thing: is
was
that
dragged to.
all you have
and
to
this-
do there, and I think that this is part of the opposition, which would be Israel's retort to this, is to say, fine, but then why aren't you going after your friends Russia for the exact same reasons you're going after us against Gaza?
Well, and the first question is, who is behind this? South Africa didn't think of this on their
So
own.
where did it come
I
from?
don't know.
Iran?
Maybe it's Iran. Maybe it's someone in BRICS.
And South Africa's a patsy?
And South Africa's just a moron and retarded enough to go do it, right?
And what's going to happen in your estimation? Do you think that we're going to get our
I
asses
re-
handed
I
to us,
really
or
think-
do you think it doesn't matter?
I don't care.
It doesn't
I
matter?
don't care whatsoever. Like really, it's a complete.
So I
What do you
Okay.
think, Pums?
I do care. I think since October, since the events unfolding in the past couple of months, we here on the show have had a lot of conversation around all of the parts of this. So one of the things I hated doing last week is reading the submission, the South African submission to the ICJ, which is 84 pages.
You read the whole thing?
It's only 84 pages.
Jesus.
You were ex-lawyer, so you know this about court documents. They're hell of a laborious things. They're boring things, and they're completely repetitive, because you have
Yes.
to keep reiterating.
No, because you charge by hour.
No, besides the charging by hour. But South Africa's document is an impressive document. It is not what you think. We've seen so many things coming out of this country. We've seen so many policy documents. We've seen so many submissions and white papers and all of that stuff. And they all look like mangled. Not all of them, but a lot of them are really like a manglement of stuff. This document is well thought out. This document is a vicious document. And they have quoted laboriously all sorts of points to which that they are arguing and which support their argument. And they are a terrible indictment on many people, including Netanyahu himself, in the Israeli government, in the IDF. And you must consider that what they are saying is there is this concerted effort by Israel at genocide, right? They want to get rid of Palestine and Palestinians. They are also saying that there is a deliberate incitement for a genocide. And they have quoted many people and the things that they are saying and the tweets and the Facebooks and the this and the that, which was reckless to begin with. So it may not be what they wanted to say, what they intended to say. It may be exactly what they mean, right? But that evidence sits in front of this court. And this is, and you must understand that what South Africa is asking for is they are asking for the court to intervene and say to Israel, stop this, so that there can be a mission that goes into Palestine to figure out what's going on. It's the urgent interdict, essentially, is what they're putting in front
To
of
me,
the
it's the
court.
biggest crock of shit I've ever heard in my life, to be honest with you, Phumi.
And
I'm
that's
sorry to
okay.
interrupt.
No, it's okay. It's okay
When
that
you look at
that
war
you feel
crimes
this way.
of the past, since the Cold War ended, you've seen the war crimes perpetuated by countries around this world. Israel itself in Syria, Russia in Syria, America, everywhere. I mean,
In
war
Afghanistan.
is war, guys. People die in war. Hamas
Absolutely.
wants to destroy Israel. Israel now maybe wants to destroy Hamas. People will die. That is how things happen in life,
And
right?
and that
And
is
for
not
South
what is
Africa
at
to
issue.
take a stance in this particular thing, when their allies like Syria and Iran and Russia and China have committed ethnic cleansing of their own multiple times for the past 30 years, and no one cares. No one cares unless Jews kill someone. This is all that this is showing me. And I'm not a big Israeli guy. I'm not Jewish. I don't actually particularly care. But you can see the liberal anarchy here.
And
it's tyranny at its best.
either way, on either side, right? On either side, there's tyranny at its worst, actually. And nobody's going to come out. I've said this before. Nobody's going to come out on the other side of this looking good. Not Israel, not America, not Palestine, not Hamas, not anyone. And the thing about this particular submission for me, for South Africa, right, is they've taken the stance for whatever reason. Whoever funds it, whoever is supporting it, whoever's given them this idea, they've taken the stance. They've gone all the way to this court, and this is an opportunity for them to ventilate their spleen about this particular thing. Great. I really do. I think great for South Africa.
Sure.
Great for Naledi Pandor. Great for all of the things. But the fallout is a terrible thing.
Yeah.
The fallout for Israel, no matter how this court
Oh,
goes,
no.
because it's going to ventilate all of this.
Israel's
shit,
fine. The
right?
fallout for South Africa.
The fallout for South Africa, politically, economically, is not going to be great. We wake up this morning and Morocco, who actually also has a judge in the panel that's going to be listening to this, is now Morocco over South Africa, is now the chairperson of the UN Council Humanity, right? We wake up this morning to this news.
Yeah.
Morocco.
And what does South Africa say about
Morocco, with
Morocco?
all that's happening in the Sahara.
What does
right?
the ANC say about Morocco? Oh, they ethnically cleansing the West Saharians.
But
whatever you
what
call
this
them.
also tells us is it tells us,
Zawahiri
and
or
this-
whatever.
by,
Yeah.
by
It's named
over
after
30 voice,
named after one of Brad and Angelina's kids. as
Yeah,
far as I
your friends involved.
by
there,
over
if I
30
remember.
votes in the UN
Yeah.
General Council, Morocco trumps South Africa. Because South Africa and the exceptionalism that we have in our minds of who we are and the
Yeah.
voice that we have is no longer there.
It never was
We are
there.
not who we think we are.
It never was there, Phumi. It's all bullshit.
We
Just
are
because-
not who we think
Just
we
because
are.
Nelson
And
Mandela went
this,
to an Oprah for 5 times doesn't make us great. We
this
never
is
were.
gonna be
We never were.
it's gonna be so yes. At 11 o'clock, it's going to be telestreamed all over the world. I mean, just journalists from all over the world have descended on The Hague. They can only accommodate 30 of them, but apparently they had like 100 submissions.
That's because
people
usually
wanting
no
to
one
come
cares
listen
what
to
this
it.
court does.
It's going to be
All you need to know is that the best people in this country, legal minds went there. John Dugard, a legend. I forgot the other advocates. I do apologize, but they're also extremely competent, extremely capable. Those advocates,
and then they take Jeremy Corbyn.
those advocates would never be appointed judges in South Africa due to their race, right? Those advocates would never be given a huge budget to prosecute corruption in South Africa. Those advocates will take on this case and you pay lots of money to go, destroy Israel. They'll never be used in here, in South Africa, to the best degree of their capability. Because why? The ANC doesn't give a shit about the local people, and BE comes in and all that other stuff. But so we use these advocates to the best of their ability to screw Israel over. We'll never ever do that to fix South Africa. That's the essence of the story for me. Complete distraction.
Yeah.
It's a complete
Patrick
distraction.
says in the comments, the ANC say we have a moral duty. Wow, the quiet diplomacy with Zimbabwe really worked. Russia invades Ukraine. What a joke. Yeah, so there's hypocrisy here. But
this is the thing about our foreign policy at the moment. It's all vibes, right? It's all just vibes.
Vibes.
It's the only minister the only minister I respect is Pandor.
really?
Yeah, she's actually really good. I don't agree with her,
Oh.
but as a minister and as a communicator, she's actually very good.
Okay, well, that's an
I
interesting
agree with her on some
side.
things. Yeah.
Okay.
No, she's actually been really good.
This is it. Whatever happens, And it'll be interesting also to see if South Africa are willing to take whatever the result is, right? Because they don't take the ICJ seriously when it doesn't suit them.
Yeah,
They're
correct.
willing to take the
I don't think
ICJ
they- I don't think they
seriously.
care.
So that'll be interesting. But today, South Africa's oral arguments start at 11, and tomorrow it will be Israel's oral response to South Africa's argument. Whatever happens, it is worth watching, because this is something that a lot of people are going to be talking about for a long time, and it will have an impact on South Africa and South Africans. This is about who your friends are. This is about where you stand in the world. It's big pieces moving on the geopolitical chessboard. And I don't think South Africa knows that they're not an important piece.
Which is why perhaps we should support Cape independence.
Oh, okay. You want to bring that in? At
Well,
the
why
end,
not?
yeah. Okay. Well,
I think we should.
this is such a thorny thing, because I don't know if the Western Cape could manage on its own. I don't know whether that's a possibility or not. Why are you in favor of this? Why do you think this is interesting?
So here, so South Africa, can we agree that South Africa is a colonial construct, right?
Sure.
Constructed by the British.
No, that's why we've got
resources.
Ndebele people and
Yeah.
Matabele people.
That's why Lesotho. That's why
right.
Eswatini
Sure,
exists.
sure,
That's
sure,
why
sure.
Lesotho exists.
Right.
I mean, the Cape was British, and the rest were Afrikaners. Then the British took over, and it's a South African. It's a
Right.
imperialist concept. The borders of South Africa, when they do exist, which they don't currently. So the Western Cape has always been historically, culturally very different. It always has been separated from the rest. There was suffrage based not on race but on land ownership, if I remember correctly, irrespective of race. It always has been a far more progressive place than the rest of South Africa. In terms of economy, land size, it fits everything. It's bigger than Singapore. It's bigger than a lot of very successful small states. And at the end of the day, I mean, if fundamentally South Africa votes for the ANC in alarming numbers and in the Western Cape they don't, we do care about self-determination. It's in our constitution. We care about the self-determination of the Palestinians and the Western Saharareans and whoever else. Why can't we care about the self-determination of the people in the Western Cape?
The Republic of the Western Cape.
Who are ethnically very different from the rest of the country. It's 50% colored.
So apparently that's one of only 2 places in the world where you have a truly indigenous mixed race
Very much so.
population. The only other one being in England, with the Caribbean Windrush generation,
Of course.
changing the population composition of places like London.
Yeah.
South London in particular.
So I think
It's
independence
interesting.
is happening de facto.
Mhm.
Politically, it's already happening. There's already a separate police force down there through LEAP officers. There's already, I mean, the DA is useless in this regard, but they could have done a lot to sort of, not privatize, but to bring the railway and the police into the clutches of the provincial government. I think it's really happening. The only problem is borders, which they can't or won't enforce. But I think it's really happening as we speak right now.
What do you have to say about Cape independence, Bums? Anything?
I think that the Western Cape is still very economically still integrated into the rest of South Africa's economy. And I think that an independent Western Cape is not it's a non-starter. I think it's a non-starter for many reasons. And interestingly, you say that, looking at what's happening in KZN, there will not be an independent Western Cape before there is any kind of secession conversation in KZN.
Which is why you should support MK.
So it really won't.
Which is why you
It
support,
just
of
won't.
course. I fully agree with you.
And the conversation will remain a non-starter for a very long time, simply because there's just too much disparity. There's too much difference between, even as you say, ethnically different,
Sure.
all of those things. I think there's still too much of an integrated consciousness in the various
Too much growth from the Western Cape. Come on, for me. Integrated consciousness. What is this?
No, not independent, interdependent.
No, but there's no interdependent consciousness.
with the rest of South Africa. And that's why I think it's a non-starter. I think it's a wonderful conversation.
I'm very sorry that we're running out of time here, guys. We've run out of time. Very, very good start to the year. Lots to be excited about. There's a lot of enthusiasm about all of this, even though some of it is pretty dire.
I mean, just one last thing. It's an election year.
Yeah.
There's 200 elections this year across many different countries.
Yes.
I can't think of a less excited country than this one about the election. It's in May sometime, no doubt. It's 4 months to go and no one gives a shit.
I'm so interested in this May conversation.
Sorry.
Where did that come from?
I got it from 3 different sources. Because they can't do it in winter because they're worried about load shedding. And if they do it after winter, they give me stage 6, stage 8 load shedding for 3 weeks. They're going to lose.
Except a winter election is a good thing for the ANC
Why?
because people are less likely to show up. And
Oh, yeah,
when
yeah,
we have
right.
few people showing up,
It helps them.
No,
in
DA wins. The DA wins. DA wants very low turnout because their people come out. The ANC guys don't come out at all.
ANC guys come out.
Well, let's wait and see. I'm excited about it, despite Rahman not being. I'm actually cautiously optimistic are the words that I've used.
Just expect chaos and brimstone. Don't expect utopia, please.
No, I'm not a
Chaos and
utopian.
brimstone.
Don't worry. Chaos,
Either way, it's going to be lit.
chaos and brimstone. All right, catch Rahman on his own morning shot on YouTube. Lots and lots of people do, and I'm very happy that it's been such a success. You are you're a very unique thinker, and I like having your point of view here. So I'm sorry it's taken us so long to get you back.
Thank you for having me.
On
What
the
a
Burning
pleasure.
platform. All right, hell of a way to start the year, Pums. We will see you next Thursday.
Oof.
And everybody be good, and look out for that brimstone.